Hi and welcome to Priori Digital Studio tutorial. In this video, I will show you how to set up and use your all-in-one handmade business tracker in the most efficient way. In this video, I am using Google Sheets, but the Excel version is exactly the same. First thing, we protect most of the cell where there are formulas to make sure that you don't erase any important formulas that could impact the spreadsheet. So if you see this message, it means you are not supposed to touch this specific cell. But don't worry, I will show you step by step how to prepare your spreadsheet. If by mistake you do touch a cell with a formula and see this message, you simply click on the X and you will be fine. Moreover, we established a color code to show you which cells can be edited and which one cannot. So basically, you only can edit the cells that have a white background. On another important note, please do not move a cell from one place to another. If you do move a cell, it could generate an issue by messing up the automation of the spreadsheet. The best way to avoid these errors is to simply copy and paste your data. So now let's take a look at the bank account tab. As you can see, on the left-hand side of the tab, you will find a ribbon with a list of all the tabs to easily navigate through them. The tabs are separated by section for easy navigation. The first section is the main section with the bank account, a global dashboard, and a calendar. Then you will see the orders section to track your orders, your inventory, your customers, and more. Then you have the bookkeeping section to better understand your business metrics. And finally, the last section is the task tracker to help you never forget to do a task. All the menu is clickable, so if you want to go to the income tab, for example, you simply have to click on the income link and the spreadsheet will automatically bring you to this specific tab. If you do not want to see this menu, you also have the possibility to reduce it. To do so, simply click on the minus sign and the menu will be hidden. So as you can see here, we have the heads up message. In this case, it's the only case where you can click on OK and you will be fine. As you can see, the ribbon will disappear. And if you want to see this menu again, simply click on the little plus sign. And as you can see, you have the same message. Click on OK and you will see the menu again. This menu is available in all the tabs of this spreadsheet. So in the rest of the bank accounts tab, you will be able to track all your cash, your bank accounts, and the credit card balances. So the first thing you will want to do is to enter your cash starting balance. Then you will be able to list all your accounts. Then, easily using the drop-down menu, select your account type and then enter each account starting balance. As a reminder, the gray cells are automated, so you do not need to write any information. The data are auto-populated from the rest of the spreadsheet. We also added a column for adjustments if needed. And if you want to validate your accounting, you can track when you last checked your bank account and your bookkeeping. So simply enter a date in this column. If you use Google Sheets, simply double-click on a cell and a small calendar will appear. If you use Excel, however, you will have to type in the date. So now let's take an example together and enter a few data. So in account name, let's enter Bank of America savings account, for example. Then you can choose your account type using the drop-down menu. So this is a saving, and then the starting balance is $2,000. You do not have to enter any data in the gray cells since this is automated based on the rest of the spreadsheet. Then for now, we do not have any adjustments, but if, for example, later on we had a transactions and the current balance did not fit with our bank account, we could adjust it. And then you could enter a date for the last check. Then you can do exactly the same for the credit cards, except that there is no account type since it's a credit card. The initial balance is the balance of your credit card at the beginning of your fiscal year or when you start to use this spreadsheet. If you scroll down, you will then see a table where you can enter all the transactions between your accounts. Simply enter the date, the account from which you transferred, and the account receiving the money. Then don't forget to enter the amount, of course. This table should be used especially when you transfer money between your accounts withdraw cash, or when you do pay your credit cards. All right, so let's take an example together. Let's enter a date. We are in Google Sheets, so I can use the small calendar. Don't forget, if you are in Excel, you will have to type in the date. Then let's say I moved some money from my Bank of America checking account to my Bank of America savings account, the one that we created a few minutes ago, and let's enter $100. So now if we go up, we will see that in our checking accounts, we have a total deposit of $100 plus our starting balance of $2,000 for a current balance of $2,100. So now let's take a look at the dashboard tab. The dashboard tab summarizes the three main sections of this spreadsheet with a summary of your task at the top. Then on the left, a summary of your orders, inventory, and sales, and on the right-hand side, a summary of your bookkeeping for the year. In this tab, only 3 cells are editable and all the other cells are totally automated. The first 2 cells are at the top of the page where you can define your start date to display the data. The data will be displayed for 1 full year. So if you select January 2024, for example, then the data will be from January 2024 to December 2024. The first section do not depend on the start date, but be careful, the 2 others do. Then the last cell that you can edit is the View section in the Bookkeeping Overview section. It will allow you to select if you want to see the net amounts, the taxes, the shipping, or other fees, or even the total amount in the chart and tables below. So you can simply use the drop-down menu to select what you want to see. So now let's have a look at all the data that you can see in your dashboard. So the first section, you have a very convenient small calendar showing you the dates, then all the overall tasks completed as well as your task priority depending on the specific priority. Then you have a task summary, so you never forget to do something important. And as you can see here, if you have too many tasks, you can simply click on this link and it's gonna bring you to the task tracker. Another important point for the task summary, as you can see, all your tasks are sorted by date and they are basically only the ones that you did not finish. Now let's have a look at the business overview. You have a very good overview of your overall business. So basically the green part of the chart is the amount of money you received from your invoices, and then the gray part is the money that you are still waiting to be paid for. Then the graph below is the invoiced amount versus the restock amount. So basically the total money you made versus the money you spent on restock. Then you have an overall overview of your business in numbers. And then you have important information on your material inventory. So you have your material summary based on what's in stock and which material that you need to reorder. And then you also have the most often ordered materials. So these ones you want to make sure to always have available in your stock. Then you have the same kind of information for your finished products. If we go up and look at the bookkeeping overview, you have a whole summary of your business in terms of your bookkeeping. So at the top, you have all the important information like your final net income, your total expense, your profit and loss, and even your profit margin. Then right below, you have a graph representing your profit versus your profit goals. And then right below, you also have your final net income, your total expense, and your profit. So these tables are really important for you to always have a look. Then if we scroll down, you have more information on your income through the months, as well as your expenses breakdown through the months. So now let's take a look at the calendar tab. This calendar tab allows you to visualize all your important data in a monthly view. This tab is really intuitive since you simply have to change the calendar setup to display the data you want to see. So simply type in the year. So in our case, it's 2024. This will also work in 2025, so you simply have to type in the year. Then select the month using the drop-down menu. So let's select the month of August. And also select the start date of the week. So if you wanted to start your week on Sunday, for example, you can change it. You can basically start your week on any day. Once this is done, you will see all your orders from the Order Tracker tab, all your orders to your suppliers for your material inventory tab, and all your tasks. Once these transactions are paid or these tasks are done, they will be struck through and highlighted in green. You also have a section for note if needed. So this calendar is very useful to never forget to pay a supplier or to pack an order for your customers. So now let's take a look at the Order Setup tab. The Order Setup is the first tab of the Order section. In step 1, enter your currency symbol. So we are in dollars, so we simply typed in the dollar symbol. But if you're in euros or sterling, for example, simply type in the symbol and it will update in the whole spreadsheet. In step 2, add your business information and your payment information. Basically, this information will automatically be added to the automated invoice, explained later in this video. In step 3, write your tax percentage. So if you live in a country where there are 2 taxes or more, you can make the sum of the taxes and simply write it here. So for example, we do live in Canada and we have 2 taxes. If we add them up, it's 15%. So we would simply write 15%. In step 4, simply add your available payment methods. So you simply have to type this information in. So as you can see here, I already wrote some information: cash, credit card, PayPal. You see the drill. In step 5, list all the different units for your raw materials and finished products. These units will be used in the drop-down menu in the rest of the spreadsheet. You will be able to add more later if you need. So as you can see here, I already wrote a few examples like a unit, milliliter, a gram, a bag, a bar. Let's say you are a candle shop, then for you it would be either units or milliliters, for example. If you are a bakery, it could be a crate, it could be a loaf, it could be anything basically. If you are selling clothes, then it would be a unit. You see the drill. In step 6, list all your raw materials. Write the name of your material, the SKU, which means stock keeping unit, that you are using to refer to this specific material. So as you can see here in our example, we basically used a soap business, but our spreadsheet is very flexible, so you can use it for basically any handmade business. Then you can add the initial unit price and the number of units, and the spreadsheet will automatically calculate the initial unit price. So let's take an example for our beloved baker out there, and let's say that you are using eggs to create a recipe, and you have 50 eggs in a box. So simply enter the price for the box, then type in 50 for the number of units, and as you can see, the price of one egg will be automatically calculated. Also, we will see it later, but this might change based on your orders from your suppliers. And then add the minimum inventory of this raw material and the unit. So let's say that the quantity of raw materials that we always want to have in our inventory for our eggs is 30. So let's write 30 here, and then the unit. So since this is an egg, the unit will be a unit. It's not a milliliter, it's not a gram, it's a unit. And then you also have some rooms for notes. In step 7, list all your finished products. So the products you are actually selling in your shop. So for example, if we are a soap business, your products are not your raw materials, right? They are the final soap. If you are a baker, your final products is not the flour or the eggs. Your final product is bread or a muffin, for example. So then simply write their SKU, their selling price, so the price the customer sees before tax, as well as the minimum inventory and unit. So as a warning, we added a conditional formatting to warn you if you enter twice the same product or raw materials name. So as you can see here, as soon as I wrote wax a second time, it was highlighted in yellow. Indeed, the spreadsheet will not be able to see the difference between your products if they have the same name, and it could generate an issue. So if you enter twice the product wax, for example, these two products will be highlighted in yellow. It works the same way for the finished products. In this section, be careful. Please do not move a cell from one place to another. If you do move a cell, it could generate an issue by messing up the automation of the spreadsheet. So the best way to avoid these errors is really to copy and paste your data. So now let's take a look at the Order Overview tab. In this tab, you will be able to see the yearly overview of your business performance in terms of months. So to start, set up the start date, type the year, and use the drop-down menu for selecting the month that you want to start with. So this tab is looking at the data on a 12-month period, so you can select any months to start. Right beneath the start date, you have a summary of your best seller product and the best customer for this year. Then on the side, you have a graph with the amount of money received each month and the amount on which you still are waiting for the payment. Then you have a graph comparing the amount of money invoiced, so basically your revenue for the month, and the amount of money you spent on restocking your inventory. In the middle of this tab, you have a very comprehensive summary table of the year. You can find all the information about your invoices, how many are paid or unpaid for each month, as well as the money value for these invoices. You also have information on your average order value, money spent on restock, your profit, as well as your profit margin. You also have a pie chart resuming all your inventory information. Then you have some room for notes and to-dos. Now let's take a look at the Sales Overview tab. The Sales Overview tab will allow you to see at a glance your overall year performance in terms of sales per product. The whole tab is automated, and the only thing you need to do is basically to select the date. This tab is the equivalent of a COGS, cost of goods sold, and is really important for your business. Simply write the year and use the drop-down menu to select the month to start the year. You will be able to see the selling price of each product, the number of items sold each month, and the total revenue generated for this specific product. Then, in the product cost section, you will see a summary of each product material cost and associated expenses. Then, on the right, you will see the profit generated for each product. So now let's take a look at the Product Recipe tab or Bill of Materials tab. So our spreadsheet works with any handmade business. So this recipe tab works for soap recipe. It could work for a bakery, so like all your muffins recipe, but it could also work with any handmade business. So a POD business or like a whole knitting business as well. So for example, if you're a POD, your product would be like white t-shirt with flower stickers. Then your material could be like your t-shirts as well as all your different stickers. So in the product recipe tab, you will be able to enter all the raw material needed to create all your finished products. So our soap, it could be like all the ingredients. For the bakery, the eggs, the flour, and for our POD shop, it could be our white t-shirt and the stickers. So first of all, your finished products will be listed on the left of the tab. This information comes from the setup. Then you will have to enter the number of finished products each recipe makes. So if we are talking about POD shop, the final products or the finished products should be only one. And if you are a bakery or a soap shop, it should be more than one soap or more than one muffin. So you can list up to 15 ingredients for each finished product. Try to be as precise as possible since this tab is linked to your inventory and will be able to calculate when you need to reorder stocks. This tab is also linked to the pricing calculator, so it is really important to very well define your products and the quantity of each materials. So now let's take an example together. As you can see here, our vanilla candle already have a few ingredients, but it seems that they are missing. So we already have some wax bar, vanilla essential oil, but we will add more material. So let's say that we add 2 vanilla pod per recipe, and then let's add another material in material 4. So again, let's use the drop-down menu and add some cacao butter. So the cacao butter the unit is also a unit. It's not milliliter, it's not gram, and let's say we add 1. So you see how this works. So every time that you add a new product to your shop, for example, it will appear here. So don't forget to add all the recipe once you want to create a new product. Now let's take a look at the price calculator tab. The price calculator tab will help you get a clear vision of your product cost breakdown. Simply select your product name using the drop-down menu. The number of items you create with one batch is automated from the recipe tab that we just saw and is indicated below. Then you can define the strategy to set up your price. You should choose a strategy to define if you want to set your price depending on the profit, on the final price, or all the intermediate, like the initial net price or the net price. Once this section is done, you could add the information needed to calculate your price depending on the choice you made. So if you choose to define your price depending on the ideal profit, then all the other inputs are not necessary. So for example, if you select based on your ideal profit margin, then you will only need to enter the ideal profit margin. In our example, it's 15%. I personally suggest that you add everything. So for example, if you selected based on ideal profit margin, then you will only need the ideal profit margin to be filled in. In our example, it's 15%. So let's take another example, and let's say I want to change my strategy to be based on ideal initial net price. Then you will have to enter information in the ideal initial net price section. So this ideal initial net price section is also linked to this section in the price breakdown, as you can see, also called initial net price. Same thing, let's say you change for ideal net price, then it's also linked to this section of the price breakdown. So basically, when the name is the same, they are linked. So let's take an example together, and let's say our ideal initial net price is $13. So simply type in 13, and as you can see in the price breakdown section, initial net price, the 13 appears. And you can also see your profit. In this case, it's 13 minus the product cost, which is $11.48. So the profit is $1.52. Concerning the discount, this one is needed for each method and does not depend on your previous choice. So for example, you could choose a different discount for all your products. So let's add a discount of 10%. So as you can see here, if our ideal initial net price is $13, then it means that our product cost is $11.48. Remember, our profit was $1.52. But now we also put a discount, which means that from the $13, we have a discount of 10%, bringing our net price to $11.70. Then we also have our sales price of 10%, so $1.17, for a final net price of $12.87. Then all the materials are automatically added based on the recipe tab. Then you could add all your labor cost. Be careful to write the right information here and be honest with yourself. So how long does it take to create a muffin batch or a soap, for example? Then add the equipment cost if you use some equipments. If you are selling candles, soap, or even jewelry, you need to take the amortization of your equipment into account to have a sustainable pricing method. The amortization represents the number of times you will use a machinery before failure. Then finally, add other costs like marketing or shipping, for example. On the right-hand side of each table cost, you have the possibility to tick a checkbox. Tick it if this item is only for one unit, whereas if this is for the whole batch, then leave it untick. Moreover, at the bottom of this tab, you have 4 small questions to help you think about your price. Now let's take a look at the Customer Tracker tab. The Customer Tracker tab helps you to compile all your customer information. You can list your customer names, their company if they are doing B2B, their address, the city, and the state or province, as well as the zip code and the country. You can also fill out their email and phone number information. This information will be used to prepare their invoice. Then on the right-hand side of the sheet, the data is auto-populated and will be able to note the number of orders from each customers, the total amount of money that you made from each customers, and their last order date. Now let's take a look at the raw material inventory tab. The raw materials inventory tracker will help you never run out of stock. The table on the left side of this tab allows you to track your inventory of raw materials and its value. The only information you have to enter in this table is the initial inventory, so when you will start using this spreadsheet. You also have the possibility to adjust your real inventory with the plus or minus column, and you can add the date to know, for example, if you have to count your inventory every month. You also have a space for notes. So now let's take an example with the eggs that we added earlier in this video. So let's say that our initial inventory was 10. Our minimum inventory, remember, is 50, meaning that we do not have enough eggs in our inventory to reach the minimum inventory that we always want to have. So as you can see here, the status is in time to reorder. This status will help you know when you need to reorder each of your material to never run out of stock. Then you can double click on the last checked date to add the date when is the last time that you checked your inventory. Then you have on the right side a table that allows you to track when you reorder a material from your suppliers. So simply enter the date when you place your order, the invoice number for reference, and select the material you reordered. The SKU is automated. Then enter the name of your supplier for reference and the quantity ordered. Then you can enter the net amount of your invoice. The sales taxes are automated, but you can change this amount if needed. You can also add shipping and other fees. The total amount is automatically calculated as well as the unit cost. The unit cost is then automatically updated and adjusted in the price calculator that we just saw. You also have the possibility to track if this order arrived or not. It is very important to set the status as arrived when you have the item arrived at home. Otherwise, this order will not be added to your inventory. And then add the account provenance for this payment. You can also add a note if needed. So let's say that we ordered our egg on the 1st of August. Then let's say the invoice number was 19. This is just for reference. The material is an egg. As you can see here, the internal SKU is automated. Let's say that we ordered it from Walmart, and let's say that we ordered 100 units. The net amount was, let's say, $200, which is really expensive for eggs, but keep in mind, this is an example. As you can see, the sales are automated, and let's say the shipping was $5. Let's say that we did not have any other fees, so $0. So as you can see here, the total amount is automated as well as the unit cost. And let's say that we choose the status ordered. And let's say that we pay from our Bank of America checking account. Let's go back to our material inventory tracker. So as you can see here, the eggs are still 10 in the inventory and still the status time to reordered since we did not receive the eggs yet. Now let's go back to our eggs and say that we got the eggs. They were delivered at home. Let's go back to our inventory. And as you can see here, since they are arrived, we created a restock of 100 and we already had 10, meaning that today's inventory is 110 eggs and the status is changed to in stock. On another important note, this table automatically adjusts the bookkeeping section that we will see later in this video. So make sure that all the information you entered in your reorder section is the right information. Then at the top of the page, you can easily see how many products you have in stock to reorder, time to reorder since the inventory is below the minimum inventory and out of stock. So basically this is all the status of your inventory. You also have the total value of your raw materials inventory and the bar chart with the top 3 products you have ordered the most in your inventory. Now let's take a look at the finished product inventory tab. The finished product inventory tracker is very similar to the raw material inventory tracker. The table on the left side of this tab is almost the same as the previous tab, and the cells to fill are the same. So the initial inventory, the plus or minus column, and the last date you checked your inventory. Then you have on the right side a table to allows you to track when you prepare your finished products. So simply add the date, your finished product, and the quantity made. The SKU and the unit are automated. You also have some spare space for notes. So let's take an example and see how this very important tab works. So let's say that we want to sell some coconut soap bar. Let's first have a look at all the data that we have here. So our initial inventory was 125. We chose that the minimum inventory is 25, meaning that we always want to have 25 coconut soap bar in our inventory. From the past, we already sold 132 bars of coconut soap. And recently, we made 15. But we sold a few of them, and today our inventory is only 10, meaning that we could only sell a maximum of 10 coconut soap bar. And let's say that we really want to quickly make a batch and sell more. Well, if you look at the enough material recipe column, you can see that we have zero material. Some of the material in this recipe, we have zero, meaning that we cannot quickly make a batch because we don't have enough inventory at home. We would have to first reorder some of the inventory and then make a batch and then sell it. We would first have to reorder some raw materials, then create a batch, and then sell the coconut soap bars. So let's take another example with our peppermint soap. We have actually right now only 5 soap in our inventory. And if we look at the minimum inventory, we always want to have 25 in stocks. Hence why the status is in time to prepare. And I know that I will have a huge custom order for this specific soap. Moreover, we also know that we have enough material to prepare a lot of bars of peppermint soap. So I will go in the section on the right hand side of this tab and prepare my peppermint soap. So let's simply say that today we are doing soap, type peppermint, and you will already see the name appearing. And then let's say that we want to make a quantity of 30 bars because we have a huge custom order. Then let's go back to the initial table, and as you can see here, our data changed. So basically the status changed to prepare soon because we only have 35, we will have only 35 bar of soap in our inventory. And remember, our minimum inventory is 25. So we only have a 10 bars of soap gap between the two. Then finally, at the top of the page, you can see easily how many products you have in stock. To prepare soon, time to prepare, since the inventory is below the minimum inventory and out of stock. You also have the market value of your finished products inventory and a bar chart with the top 3 products you have the most in your inventory. I believe that the most interesting feature in this tab is the column that shows you how many recipes of each finished products you can do with your raw materials that you have in your inventory. This way you will avoid wasting your materials or even wasting time always buying materials. Now let's take a look at the Order Tracker tab. This tab aims for you to track all your orders. First, you want to write the invoice number. You will be able to then select the customer from the drop-down menu. This drop-down menu is automated based on the Customer Tracker tab that we saw earlier in this video. You then enter the issue date and the due date for this specific order. The amount column is automated based on the data you will enter on the right side of the spreadsheet. So let's take a look at it right now. So in the right hand side, you will find 10 sections to add up to 10 different items to your order. You will be able to select the name of the item and add a description. This description will appear in the Invoice tab that we will see later in this video. The unit price is automated based on the Setup tab. You simply have to enter the quantity and the total for this specific item is automatically calculated. So you can do that for up to 10 items or products. Now let's get back to the left-hand side of the table. The amount column is automated and sums the total of all the items that you added in your order. You could add a discount in the discount column. This discount is in percentage, and the spreadsheet automatically calculates the net amount. The sales tax are also automated, but you have the possibility to change them if you want. You can also add shipping and other fees. And then finally, the total amount is automated. Then, when you receive this amount, you can enter the amount paid and the status automatically updates. If the received amount is the same as the due amount, the status is then paid. If it's not the case, it will be partially paid. The status could also be unpaid or overpaid. Then you can add a payment method and the account receivable. The due amount is the money your customer will still owe you. The due amount is the money your customer will still owe you. You can also add the date when the payment is totally received and an update date and notes if needed. So let's take an example together. Let's say that we have invoice number 10. We can simply use the drop-down menu to select a customer. So let's say customer A. The issue date would be like August 10, and then the due date could be the same. It could also be a different date. Then let's enter all the information to get the amount that this invoice will be. Use the drop-down menu to select your item. So let's say that we select the activated charcoal soap, and let's say that we have a quantity of 5. Let's say this person also wants to have the olive oil soap. Let's say that we sold 10. And then for the item 3, let's say this person wants a vanilla candle and we sold 10 as well. So as you can see here, all the total amount is based on the unit price and the quantity we sold for each item. So let's go and see how much our total order is. The total order for this customer is $575. Then let's say that we give this customer a 10% discount. As you can see here, we see the net amount that comes down to $517. Then we have the sales tax that is automated. Don't forget, in the setup tab, we put a 10%, giving us a sales tax of about $50. Then let's say we have a $5 shipping fee. And then let's say we have some other kind of fee here. Let's put another $5. So our total amount is up to $574. Then let's say that this customer is a very good customer and pays the exact amount. We can simply enter the amount. And as you can see here, the status changes to paid. Let's say this customer is not a good customer and only pays half, let's say $250. As you can see here, the status changes to partially paid. Then don't forget to enter the payment method. Let's say this one was paid by credit card, as well as the account receivable. This one was received in our Chase account. This is really important for us to be able to have a good bookkeeping that is on track and that balances. In addition, you can tick the checkbox on the left-hand side if the order is canceled. The row will be completely strike through in red. In another important note, all this tab automatically updates the bookkeeping section, and this data will be added in the income section. So try to be very meticulous when you enter your data. Now let's take a look at the invoice tab. This invoice tab is the last tab of this order section. For this tab, you simply have to add your logo to look more professional. So to do so, you simply have to click on Insert, then Image, then insert image in cell. Then you can browse your computer to find your logo. It's gonna charge. And then select the invoice number and all the other information will appear automatically. In our example, our invoice number was 10, so let's simply select 10. So as you can see here, we see all our product. We did not write any description, hence why nothing is written. However, if we would have wrote a description, we would have seen it. Then we can see the unit price for each product, the quantity, the unit, as well as the total for each product. Then at the bottom, we can see the subtotal, the discount, the net amount, the tax and shipping plus fees, and the final total. So to print your invoice, first simply select the invoice, so everything that you want printed. Then click on the printing icon. Then make sure to change all the setup. So in printing, click on select cells. Then if you want the invoice to fit on a page, click on fit to page. You can scroll down a little bit to see if everything looks good. This is the case. Then simply click on next, and then you can print it. If you are using Excel, the steps are basically the same, and it's all also written in our README instruction, also available in your order. The bookkeeping setup is the first tab of the bookkeeping section of this spreadsheet. The first tab is the setup tab. In this tab, you will set up all your information needed for the spreadsheet. In step 1, enter the date when you want to start this section of the spreadsheet. In step 2, enter all the different income and expense category you think that you will need. You have up to 50 different categories for each of them, so for the income and the expense. Be careful, the first category name for the income is for order sales, and all the data of this category are imported from the order tracker tab, so you cannot change it. And in the expense section, you also have the raw material purchase, which also comes from the material inventory tab. So you cannot delete this category. All the other categories, you can basically edit it to fit your business. Don't worry, you can also add more categories later if needed. If you want to see the rows between 25 and 50, you can simply click on the small plus here and the row will appear. If you want to remove it, you can click again. Then in step 3, you will be able to define your monthly and annual profit goal. So simply type in your goals. Now let's take a look at the income tab. The income tab is a transaction tracker. It is one of the key parts of this spreadsheet with the expense tab. This tab is very intuitive. You just have to type in the date of the transaction, the invoice number for reference if you have one, and use the drop-down menu to select the income category previously defined in the setup tab. Then you can enter the net amount and the sales tax applied. The sales tax amount is automated based on the tax rate previously entered in the setup tab. But this column is not protected, so you will easily be able to adjust this amount if needed. If your customer also pays for shipping, you have a specific column for that. Same thing for other fees that you might collect, like tips if you own a restaurant, for example. The total amount is in gray, which means that this column is automated, so you do not need to enter any data. After that, you can enter the account that received this money with the drop-down menu. You also have room to write a description or a special note if needed. The last important point is the column with the checkbox on the left-hand side of this income table. This column allows you to know if you received the money from your invoice or not. So if you are paid upfront, simply tick the checkbox when you enter your data in the row. If you send invoices to your customers, simply tick the checkbox when you receive the actual money. If you do not tick these checkbox, your bank accounts will not be updated. So now let's take an example together. Let's say that we issued an invoice today. So let's simply click here, then choose today's date. Let's say the invoice is number 24, and let's say this income comes from Shopify sales. So simply select the Shopify sales. Then let's say the net amount is $100. As you can see here, while you enter the number 100, the sales tax are automated. If you have different sales tax for a reason, you can overwrite this number. Then let's say we have $5 in shipping and $5 in other fees. Simply enter the amount, and as you can see, the total amount is automated. Don't forget to enter the account that you received this money. So let's say in this case, the account that received my money is in Wells Fargo checking. Be careful and always enter the account receivable if you want this spreadsheet to be all automated and that your bookkeeping balances. If I had a description, I could write some information in either the description or note cells. And then don't forget to tick the checkbox so it's official that I received this money. So in my case, since it is a Shopify sale, I would have ticked this checkbox as soon as I write some data. Let's say that you are a consulting business and you send invoices to your customers to be paid in net 30, for example, then you need to check this checkbox once and only once you receive the money in your bank account. Once all your data is entered in this table, you can simply scroll to the right and you will see a really similar table. If you do not do anything, it will display exactly the same data, but the most interesting feature is that you can filter and sort all your data. So let's take an example together. Let's say that we only want to see the invoices that are not paid. As you can see here, all the invoices that are paid were removed. And then let's say that we want to have all our income, all our invoices from the Shopify sales that are not paid. As you can see here, we sorted all our data. And let's say that we want to see all our invoices that are from our checking account from Bank of America. As you can see, this also changed. And then let's say that we want to put a filter on the start date and the end date. So you can simply choose a range of dates. And as you can see, the data are filtered out. If you want to remove all those filters, you simply click on the cell and click on delete on your keyboard. As you can see, all the data will reappear again. So now let's take a look at the expense tab. The expense tab is really similar to the income tab, so be sure to enter your information in the right place. The expense tab is also a transaction tracker, and it is one of the key parts of this spreadsheet with the income tab. The principle is the same. Simply enter the date of the transaction, the invoice number for reference if you have one, and use the drop-down menu to select the expense category previously defined in the Setup tab. Then you can enter the net amount and the sales tax applied. The sales tax amount is automated based on the tax rate previously entered in the Setup tab, but again, this column is not protected, so you will easily be able to adjust this amount if needed. If you pay for shipping fees, for example, you can enter this amount in the shipping column. Same thing for other fees that you pay and that are not subject to a tax, like a tip in a restaurant, for example. The total amount is in gray, which means that this column is automated, so you do not need to enter any data. After that, you can select the account provenance of this transaction with the drop-down menu. You also have room to write a description or a special note if needed. The last important point is the column with the checkbox on the left-hand side of the expense table. This column works exactly the same as the income table. This column allows you to know if you paid your invoice or not. So if you pay your invoice upfront, for example, in a store, you can tick the box when you enter the data in the row. If you pay your invoice 15 days or 30 days after receiving the invoice, for example, then simply tick the box when you actually do pay the invoice. These checkboxes represent when the money leaves your account. If you do not tick these checkboxes, your bank accounts will not be updated. So once all your data is in this table, you can simply scroll to the right and you will see a really similar table. So this expense filter works exactly the same as the income tab. So now let's take a look at the mileage tab. The first thing to do is to set up this tab with the green table at the top left of the tab. So you can choose to use either kilometers or miles as a unit, and then you can add up to 5 different mileage rates. So for example, you can start your bookkeeping in 2023 and the mileage rate was, let's say, 0.65 cents per miles. Then you simply have to enter the rate, the start date, let's say January 1st, 2023, and the end date, December 31st, 2023. If, let's say, in 2024, the rate was different, then you will be able to set up another rate for 2024 without affecting the 2023 bookkeeping data. 2 different warnings might appear in this table. The first one is if the start date and the end date are inverted. In this situation, a warning message will pop below the table and the 2 dates concerned will be highlighted in yellow. The second one is if 2 date ranges overlap. In this situation, a warning message will pop below the table and the dates concerned will be in red. So if you see these warnings, it means that you have to change at least one date. It might affect your bookkeeping and your account balances if you do not do so. Once this tab is set up, you can start to track all your mileage in the table below. So simply enter the date and the number of kilometers or miles. The amount is auto-populated based on the mileage rate defined above and the date. You can also define the account provenance of this transaction. And you also have some space for description and notes if needed. So let's take an example together. Let's enter today's date and then enter 45 miles. And as you can see here, the total amount is automated based on the cost per mile. And then don't forget to select the account provenance with the drop-down menu. Then you can also write a description or a note. Once all these data are in the table, you can simply scroll to the right and you will be able to filter and sort all your data if needed. This one exactly works like the income tab and the expense tab. So you can use filter to sort your information. So let's put a start date and an end date. So let's select the 1st of January and then let's select the end of January. So as you can see here, we only see the data from January. And then let's use the account provenance drop-down menu to choose one of our bank accounts. And as you can see here, we can see all the dates, all the data from January that have an account provenance as Bank of America checking. To remove the filter, simply select the data and then click on delete. Now let's take a look at the monthly dashboard tab. In this tab, the first thing you need to set up is the year and the month you want to visualize. So simply type in the year and use the drop-down menu to select the month. Then, just below, you can select the data you want to visualize in the income table in green and the expense table in pink. So you can choose between the net income, the total income, the tax, shipping, and other fees. Then, let's say we select something, everything is auto-populated. So this drop-down menu will display different data in the income table in green and the expense table in pink. That way, you will be able to visualize the data that you want. If you want to see the row between 25 and 50, as usual, you can simply click on the plus and minus sign here and it's gonna expand or hide rows. The View drop-down menu only affects these two tables and do not affect the rest of the spreadsheet. At the top of the page, you have 6 important data of your business for this month. So your final net income that represents the total income minus the sales tax, total expense, total tax, total income, profit and loss, as well as your profit margin. Just below, you have 2 pie charts that represent your total income and the total expense breakdown for the month. So those pie charts are really important for you to understand and gives you very important data for your business. On the left side, you can see your progress compared to your monthly goal. Don't forget, the monthly goal was defined in the Setup tab. And just below, you have 3 bar charts to compare your income and expense on 3 different parameters: your total amount, your net amount, and your taxes. In this tab, you really have all the information to understand your monthly business performance. Now let's take a look at the Annual Dashboard tab. This tab presents exactly the same features as the monthly tab, but is over a 12-month period. So the first thing is to select the start year and select the starting month. So if you select April 2024, for example, then the 12 months will be from April 2024 to March 2025. Then you have exactly the same drop-down menu to select the data you want to visualize in the income and expense sections. Except these 3 cells, the rest of the tab is completely automated. Then at the top of this tab, you have all your most important information from your business. So the final net income, your total expense over the year, total tax collected, your total income, as well as your profit and loss and profit margin. Remember, if you are in positive, you have a profit, and if you are in negative, you have a loss. Then right below this, you have your profit goal versus your actual profit. And then you have a breakdown over the months for your profit versus your profit goal. And then finally, a breakdown of your final net income, total expense and profits over the months. And then right below those 3 graphs, you have a summary of your data, either depending on what you selected in the View drop-down menu over each month in money value. If you scroll down a little bit, you also have a chart that represents the breakdown of your total income as well as a breakdown for each month. And then if you scroll down more, you have the same thing for your expenses. If you want to see the rows between 25 and 50, then simply click on the little plus and then it's gonna be opened. If you want to hide it, simply click on the minus sign. Also, one of the most interesting feature in this tab is the cash flow at the bottom of the page that summarizes your business financial situation. You can see your net income, your tax collected, shipping fees received, and other fees received. It will show you the calculation of your final net income, which is calculated from your net income plus the shipping fees received plus the other fees received. You can also see your net expense, tax paid, shipping paid, other fees paid, as well as the mileage costs. The sum of all these expenses determines the final total expense. The two parameters highlighted in bold define the profit of your company as well as your profit margin. Then in the blue table is a summary of your goal and your progress. So you have your progress for each month and also the cumulative goals and progress. And the last table summarizes your sales tax collected, paid, as well as the difference between these two. A chart is also there to easily visualize and understand your tax paid and received for the whole year. So for this tab, don't hesitate to scroll down. There is a lot of information that is crucial to understand your business. Now let's take a look at the custom dashboard tab. This tab is very similar to the monthly tab and the features are exactly the same. So once again, the only cells you can modify are the start date and the end date and the view drop-down menu. The only difference is that you can decide which interval of date you want to check your business performance. So double click on the date to select the start date. If you are in Excel, don't forget to type in the date and then select the end date of the period that you want to see. If two dates are inverted, a warning will appear and you will not see any data. You could see your performance over a period of a few weeks or a few months. You decide on the interval. Now let's take a look at the Task Setup tab. The Task Setup is the first tab of the Task Tracker section. Within this tab, you'll find 4 tables designed to entering your personal data, an emoji pool, task statuses, the person in charge, and task categories. The emoji pool, the first table, enhances the visibility of your task statuses. If you wish to incorporate new emojis, you can easily do so using websites like Emojipedia. So let's simply look for an emoji, let's say a heart. Let's decide on a blue heart, copy the heart, and then go back to your spreadsheet and simply paste it. As you can see here, now we have a blue heart. Following that, you can input your task statuses, categories, and assigned individuals into the respective tables. In the case of a task statuses, you also have the option to select an emoji for the drop-down menu, providing a more visual representation of your task statuses. Now let's explore the Task Tracker tab, which offers a user-friendly interface. You simply need to input your tasks and associated data such as client, status, which is chosen from the drop-down menu, and the due date. The system automatically calculates the days left. Additionally, you can specify the priority, the category, and the person in charge using the drop-down menus. There's also a designated area for the real completion date and for notes if needed. Upon completing a task, you can mark it by checking the checkbox on the left side of the table, resulting in a strike-through effect. So let's take an example together. Let's say we want to write a blog article for our business. This is not for a customer, so we don't need to use this column. If it was the case, we could also use it. Then the status is in to do. The due date is for the end of the month. And then the priority is low, for example. The category, this is for a business. And let's say that the person in charge is Marco in this case. Once this task is completed, you can write the real completion date. So let's say we completed this earlier. Let's say we completed this today. Then once it's done, you can simply check the checkbox. And as you can see, it's a strike through. And the data will also be shown in the graph above. So as you can see, at the top of the tab, you'll find task statistics presented through two pie charts, one sorting tasks by status and the other illustrating distribution per person in charge. On the right-hand side of this table, you will be able to filter your tasks to easily see them. This task filter works exactly the same as all the other filters within this spreadsheet. So I hope this tutorial helps you easily set up your spreadsheet. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions or concerns. Follow Priori Digital Studio on YouTube for sneak peeks on our new templates.